But then, it being design dialogue, we're just going to be talking, sharing stories, since essentially this edition is about storytelling and design.
Usually, not exactly design but arts. Usually, I discover that looking at art, looking at pictures, paintings, kind of helps me relax. Like trying to find a meaning in artwork for a piece. So for me, say design, art is relaxation, helps me calm down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Adetitu. I'm an interior architect, and what design is to me is expression. It comes in various forms. I like fashion, I like drawing, I like painting. So design for me, it comes out in different aspects of stuff I like to do.
Your name and what you do and what design is.
For me, design means, making things better.
Thinking about a need and providing a solution.
It's not just functional, but also brings a measure of satisfaction to the end user.
Not to awards for money. I'll say design is earth. And what is it designer? When I was sitting there and when you were getting interviewed, something was running through my mind, like the whole universe, the existence of human being. Can you imagine what level of detail was accomplished to create the whole universe, to create a human, and nothing was failing? That is one of the highest level of designs and details ever recorded in history. So it's a very people word to say God is a designer, and it's very thought. So design is like, and it was the simplest but
I'm a visual artist, predominantly sculptor, product designer.
Design to me, really cheap to the designer. Depends on depends on the skills I am at the time.
I'm just product designer or fashion and design to me, for me, it's more like giving to like,
Okay, my name is Toby. I'm a project manager, project head for a window treatment company, and I'll say design is an intentional process to create solutions, maybe objects or just an intentional process of creating solutions. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm what does design mean to me? This is what okay. Design to me is like almost like magic. I think, like you said, design is very powerful. It's incredible to take something from your mind and be able to create it, or not just to create something, but to create something that becomes so intrinsic to our everyday life that there's a lot of things that we do. You can notice any core as things that are designed. I think it's called the toothbrush effect. It's like you just hold a toothbrush, but you've not thought about the fact that someone sat down and thought about the functionality and design of this thing, or something that you just use every day. I feel like sometimes I think about really high-tech objects or art or like things that seem like, wow, this person designed it. But, our slippers, t-shirt, like all these things that everyday functions in our lives that have been designed by someone, that have been intentionally thought about by someone. And I think that is very incredible. So that's how I thought design. Magic.
Thinking about the design for the car and how there is I spent 2 to 5 minutes essentially at the red lights, just thinking about why a car handle is the shape it and why the Range Rover beside me had their car handle flushed it. And I just spent time thinking about.
I never tried to enter a Tesla. The first time I put another Tesla, I was like,
I was very curious to China also. I just spent a lot of time owning about that design, and now with Peter's work, I realize that even though I'm traditionally an architect, being an architect has made me understand that design is in the little details as well. If it exists, there's probably some area of design. Before we consider, I don't mind if also I'm not very keen to say, because I know for sure that person has a lot to say. I know for sure, but then
yeah, but that's what I'm guilty.
So design house was provincial assistance years, which is like mommy go yes. And the idea in head is that it happens something that had actually been happening naturally through the form of processing serious was. This was the few of us that here that actually maybe more do you don't know do that either work associate, we're pretty sure, because we found that the office come to spill down, the experience of us the firm. So we decided to formalize it because we realized that sometimes collaborations will come out of what we're doing. We started understanding importance of actually creating a plan. You guys up there, you're interested, let's formalize that, let's try to plan to happen. So this space essentially was built to foster collaboration. Like you guys remember I call myself the Chief Instigator because there's some things that I can see, like I have a vision for what's going to happen in the future based on things that I'm brought in this space while I'm here.
Collaboration they have for all of them, upholding the arts of heritage as Africans. What I found that in free top is a lot of burn out and sippers with the Americans at the house. The fact that they're Nigeria, where it's like every day that we design has about things to do.
Well, therefore, our culture is never not about. I mean, nowadays, of course, again, there's a moon that's sitting in supper in the door. But it was a problem. I just feel like we're sick. What is wrong with us? We're just designing based on what we've seen elsewhere. Because we didn't think that's something that comes out of the UK or comes out of Spain or wherever is better than what we have here. So we're trying to essentially retrain our minds, and like I always say, guys, and not just others, even me. Like I'm trying to retrain my mind to understand where I'm from, who I am, what my culture is, why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like an interior architect, how am I solving problems, and how am I helping our community? So this is a community that we're building to be able to do projects that impact our community. And our community is Lekki, our community is Nigeria, community is Africa, our community is the made of food and are living very next to you. So you will find that here we'll always do projects that we invite people to the community to join and say, okay, we're working on this project, for example. There's something that came in front of us that was a playground that someone was talking about that became. If it comes to once that comes to, I send a message to you and comes, okay, is this playground we're working on? No, but fund of designer and a storyteller, what did I say that we do? How do you want to be involved in this? And everything that we do, we're trying to push for more collaborative projects to happen and things that will directly impact our communities positively through design, essentially. So that's what we're doing here. And every month we have Design Dialogue, which is just a piece for designers, basic and introducers to come and for us to do anything else. And today, we're excited to have Ozzy Boom Boom. Well, this book. Ozzy is a genius, honestly. You know, it's her, but she's, I mean,
I love the way her mind works, and you guys will see as we mentally go about calm.
The way I feel like there's a vulnerability that you have in the way you speak and the way you share. That's a lot of you need to know. Kind of have 10% on it, and I think that's what makes you stand out. I think it's really beautiful. Sometimes I'm just like, if I can move on, to just share what comes to my mind and how my mind works. First of all, what mine was like, I do really like a web. It's very interesting. Constantly fighting for people without being like, you don't want to say that to your food, your real life work, but she's constantly fighting. So I just thought that Ozzy was also one of the best possible. And then she's also a designer. I don't know if you guys know Dylan. That's what I love. I was doing my Dylan pants studio. I don't find this, and I suspect Miles he did. Let's do it. We come first. So my character, she's Dylan, she's Ozzy, she's everything. She's a phenomenal effect. So we're happy to have me here. Ain't that it?
Here's Osaru all of us all here. We learn. We have a fun. We do. Alright, hi everyone. So I mean, Sarah approached me and said she wanted me to speak about storytelling. And I think specifically like just storytelling and in design. And not lie, I kind of forgot. I made some notes, but I also was like supervising this week. And I remember this morning, like maybe around like 2 o'clock or something. I was like, oh shit. How am I going to be prepared for this? Sarah was like, oh no, it's very conversational.
I want it to feel relaxed. I want it to be everybody talking, not just me talking at serious. Which, is great. I love the size of the room because it feels like I'm just gisting with friends. And so it's very informal. I have a laptop beside me. I think I have some kind of slides or deck, something like that, nothing like that. So I think we're just going to just talk about storytelling and what storytelling means, I think, to all of us, and how important I think it is to always try to incorporate storytelling in everything that you do, even in who you are as a person. And I guess how we can start to think about how going forward we're implementing storytelling in our thinking. So just to introduce myself, my name is Ozzy, like I said, like 10,000 times. I started off in design. So I went to fashion design school in New York, Parsons. And I went there after doing a pre-med program. And I was supposed to go to medical school, and I bailed out of medical school. I went to design school. I just forgot about the New York day. Sorry, Sorry was FIC, but I was in Parsons. And while I was at Parsons, I interned at several places. I worked for these like shoe designers for a year after I graduated, and then I moved back to Lagos. And I moved back to Lagos because at that time it felt like there was a lot of exciting possibilities. A lot of people had started sort of like migrating back. There was like a big crazy boom around that time. That era birthed Lagos Fashion Week, Art X, and a lot of stuff that staples on the scene now were all like people huddling together trying to figure out what they were going to do when they came back to Nigeria. A lot of brands started around that time as well. Joe Balisa, Makio, a lot of brands that were just doing things that, a lot of us had not done before. And it was an exciting time to be back in Nigeria and to get young Nigeria, and it's all very hopeful online today. But like today, the dollar was still 150, so things were looking up with a lot of promise of like, it pulled back or things that would be great, and we're all waiting to come and build this new Nigeria. We're all bringing back all this knowledge and blah 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 blah. Turns out it wasn't that true. It's email. We keep alive. And so when I moved back, I worked in the fashion scene for a while, and I worked for a designer. I had some of my own projects. I started like a brand at the time. And then the last is going to be about shoot. Yes, I even went inside with the shoe design program, and I designed shoes. There's a lot of dipping and dabbling in the fashion industry at that time. And I started working. So at the time, Rockets came to Lagos, and Rocket Econism, people that do Jumia now. And so Rocket Internet comes to Lagos, and they're like, they want to do fashion e-commerce website, whatever it is. It was the first time there was a big e-commerce thing that was like Amazon is how they get it. And that was like my first time foraying into tech, I suppose. And some of them getting contacted me, and they're like, we're looking for someone who can build, the fashion, whatever that they wanted to do, because they wanted someone that would be able to buy fashion, and they would be able to, they wanted to have a lot of fashion on their website, and then they would, e-commerce, and then they would sell it or whatever. And so I started out in Jumia, and we're buying in fashion and talking to people that just trying to figure out like what would make Nigerian want to buy fashion online, because nobody was buying anything online really at that time. And it wasn't even Jumia then, it was called Sabinta. And then there were two different websites. There was one that was selling electronics and one that was selling fashion, and everything ended up becoming one company called Jumia. And so where we were putting these clothing online, because he buys, they take a picture, they upload it to the websites, and then some people maybe I started thinking like, are people really buying? Yes, or it wasn't really, it was just catching on. And we would sit down and try and figure out like, what would make or like what is missing or whatever it is. And then we started. I remember one of the heads at the time was like, well, we need like product description. We need to, tell people who this is from and how to wear it or whatever it is, right? And we didn't have anybody of like, all of us are just like, okay, but like, where is that video got from it? So there was no content, nothing like content back there. There was no content creator, there was no influencer, there was nothing like that. So it's like, okay, so where is that supposed to come from? And so I remember it was an Excel sheet or something that had like all the items of the pictures, and I was like, well, let me get my laptop and let me just start just writing whatever, let me just start describing these items and let's put descriptions on the website. And so I started describing Isaac, and I was like, well, this is a key black dress, silent making, blah blah blah. We have these shoes on the website, all this stuff, right? And that was my first, I think, experience of consciously communicating something. I'm a big book nerd. I read a lot as a child. I love stories. I used to write random books that were just for myself in my notebook, literally a pen with an empty notebook and pen. And, but I never thought of what it meant to really communicate something or to communicate storytelling with design or with the brand or with the product. Even though, back then, I don't know if we were even really shopping online that much. Amazon was all the things that just starting kind of, or just picking up, or going mainstream or whatever. And so that was the first time I think that I saw what happens when you kind of tell a story that is linked to design, because then someone goes on the website, they feel now like they have some context. If you pick it up, and even as far as details, right? So you say, oh, this dress is this length, or the person that is wearing the dress in the picture is wearing a size medium. So then you start to be like, okay, I understand what it might look like for me. I'm the size medium, or I'm a size small, or I'm a large. Okay, I should get a large, but this person is still whatever it is. All those things is communication. All those things is storytelling. All that stuff is giving context to what a person is seeing. Because without that, what you're just seeing is an object, right? I left Jumia for a while. I worked in e-commerce again in a fashion company, Fashion Scouts of in South Africa. When I moved back from South Africa, because that place was scary and dangerous, and I was like, yeah, I can't stay here. I thought Nigeria was bad, but Nigeria is not such. South Africa is terrifying, because you know what? Even why South Africa is terrifying, you can't see danger at all. It's like paradise, most beautiful country I've ever. So yeah, I'm literally standing in like what's for imagine just the most gorgeous place, and somebody can just come with a machete and cut his pieces. Very violent people. God bless them, but they have issues in that country. So I came back, and like as I was said, I started two things, right? And I tweet a lot. I still tweet a lot. But I think like I always just have in my head, there's always something happening in there, and I need to type it, whether it's in a group chat, whether it's with my friend, whatever it is. It's like a compulsion. I don't know what it is, but I just need to say whatever I want to say. And so I didn't think about I wasn't growing in brand or anything when I was speaking. I was just speaking out to which is what I was thinking about. Whatever, Nigeria, my experience, how women are being treated, equality, whatever it is. And then I had a Medium page, so I'll write more long form content on my Medium. Literally about anything. It doesn't matter what I was writing about. It's just whatever I saw like talking about, I would go there and I would write it. And one day he found out a tech company approached me, and he's like, I read a lot of things that you write, I read a lot of things that you say. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. His work comes on me like they read it. It wasn't like I don't talk to anybody. I literally am talking to myself, and he's like, you're really good at communicating, like you're really good at communicating. It doesn't matter whether I agree with what you're saying or I don't agree with what you're saying. but it's just this idea that you know how to really get ideas and put them to paper or whatever. And he's like, you don't have any storytelling in my company. And he's like, we never had communication before. And I really think that you can come and help us build what our communication sounds like or what our communication is like. And I mean, immediately I was just like, well, the fintech, I was like, I don't know anything about finance. I've never worked in that kind of field before. I don't know what it's talking about. I don't even work. In my mind, I'm like, well, I work what's communications? I don't want communications or whatever it is. Well, we kept talking. And then I joined the company, so with Paga. And so I built Paga's communication arm for 2 to 3 years. 3 years I was there, literally setting it up from scratch, like going back to, what is the tone of voice? What does Paga want to sound like? Who is Paga talking to? Who uses Paga? If you guys have all this sophisticated, maybe like ads and communication, but like literally Paga is for people who can afford it or who don't have a bank account or who can't open a bank account because they don't even have the credentials to open a bank account. Then how are you communicating to them? This is how you're speaking, or this is where you are, or this is where you are casing yourself, So again, it just goes back to sort of that idea of the importance of storytelling, right? Paga is the most amazing thing. Who knows what you guys are doing? Who knows that you built a school in Yaba? Who knows that, you've impacted this community in this way, and X amount of people now have access to some kind of digital finance that didn't. Like, all these things are stories that need to happen, and all these things are stories that you are telling about yourself, and you are presenting yourself. And when you're presenting yourself, you're shaping the perception of yourself. So left Paga for a while. I worked in places. I worked in Microsoft. I worked in MasterCard. And then I started this brand with my friend, called Dialab. So came back to fashion eventually. And Dialab is a contemporary brand, lifestyle brand, and you just create products from using local techniques, local products. Every single thing that every part of our company, or everything, or part of our product is made in Nigeria. From cotton is grown in Nigeria. It's hand dyed by artisans that are Nigerian. Is the end finished product is made here, and we sell to people all over the world. And with Dialab, I'm brand director, and so from the very beginning, taking everything that I had learned and everywhere that I have worked previously, it's been very intentional. Everything from how we present ourselves to how we talk about our story, to making people understand, sustainability, waste, all the things that are of value to us. I think because it's very important that when we are speaking about ourselves or we're speaking about our brand, we are clearly communicating who we are, and we're clearly explaining, what we want you to know, not what we want somebody else to know. Now, here's what's really funny, that somebody sent me something today, and then they said they were like, oh, I'm writing a story, and Dialab is in the story, and do you want to, could we have a look or something like that? And I was like, yeah, sure, you can send it. Let me read what you wrote. And the person's like, Dialab is for the average Nigerian who wants to look stylish and rich. I was like, but and I was like, really? I was like, what? Branch. I was like, what? I was like, how? Where did you get that from? Never said that. Like, we've never said that before. Those are my view rich. Did you take key? Wanting to look rich. I was like, what are you talking about, And I'm like, so that was very funny to me, because I'm like, what? As much as you think you are sharing your story or communicating or you are building a perception, people are still forming their own perceptions about you, about your brand. It's like what they think is what they are communicating. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. Somebody thinks Dialab is for somebody who wants to look stylish and rich. I've never that's not our intention. You know what I mean? But it's like, it just goes to show that there's the importance of storytellers, because people are constantly shaping perceptions about you as a person, about your brand, about your work, about anything that you are doing. And you are obviously, the importance of you using your voice and telling your story or sharing about your work or sharing about yourself is because you want to share a perception of what is out there about you, and you want to tell that narrative and own your narrative as well. not just to people, but even just to the world, you know. So I don't want to keep talking at you guys, so I want to throw it back to you guys so you guys can actually like, you know, speak to me, because I want to understand maybe like how you think about storytelling in your work, or you think about storytelling in your design. So we can ask you.
Alright, yeah. Yeah, the yellow storytelling offers times
It's an intentional exercise in here. On projects that I work on, majorly in architecture, I try as much to tell stories with my architecture, because I realize that when you decide to tell a story, it gives you a dynamic of intentionality. It kind of gives you a focus, because you know what you're trying to portray, kind of the whole way of doing the design house. Well, you know the kind of people are trying to get to, so it kind of shapes the kind of moves we make, and that's what I try to do in my architecture. And then just picking out the list of what we said, then paraphrasing obviously. Then if you do not tell stories by itself, people are doing to help you and tell those stories. So if anyone should tell you a story, the best person to do that should be you. Because if you leave that chat, like Charles, there's a possibility you are going to be misinterpreted or misrepresented. And that is how I see storytelling.
Anybody else?
I think stories are what give designs life, a meaning.
Without the stories, a design can as well be meaningless. Let's come home. For example, the Nigerian flag. It's just green and white and name. Without the story, it's just colors. Without the story, the coat of arms is just coat of arms. So it's just a symbol of horses playing, and but there's a story for everything there. Without the story, a design is just can as well be keyless. So a story can make something that looks abstract, something that looks meaningless, to have one of the deepest meaning. So that's why that's my perception about.
So let's just, that what you just said can be green white just actually very, it's actually very like the rest of them, and that's very true, because you can put something else, and if you don't share with people what it's about, like okay, when Ozzy was talking about Junior, we put a picture of the dress up or something. You know, there's no description that goes with it. There's no visual. No, it just people cannot relate to it. People, you understand your ways. So as simple as that thing you just said about the flag, it actually really like opened up my mind. Like it's true. Like if I just say what's this is happening here, then it's like what's the cons? And that really that struck. I'm very bad at doing it, or person as anybody like do me generally like just it feels like you stress too. And this perfect talk again or as you get a picture like I can take 1,700,000 can never post anything. But it's not really about just posting on social media say, but even I can post the picture and just not even say that's happening because I can't be bothered. And then I remember there was one time I was moderate this session on legacy, women legacy, and I think I applied to told today. And then as I was busy, I was talking about this Italian company called Snyder. I think they had 125 years company that these Italians they use 3 years, 3 generations down the line, and the guys are telling us how their grandfather how he built a company and the things that they kept for them that gave them the nudge to want to be a part of it. And essentially everything they were saying was storytelling. Like it was like, oh, my grandfather kept the photos, he kept the first stitch, he kept the first diamond on the first kitchen. If they didn't have the stories, it's not been there. There's nothing to hold it. So I now realize that you actually cannot build a legacy if there's no story. Because if there's no story, nobody would ever hear that it existed. It would die. There's 125 years of the kitchen manufacturing company that could have died if the grandfather was not intentional about keeping the story alive. And then the kids were like, I want to be part of it because it's so exciting to see all the people that are. The other day I was, we're moving at home and I was cleaning out my dad's studio, and I can't like, you know that I know him, that obsessed with that. Cleaning out the study room made me love him more because there were so many stories. I saw notes that he had written, just like notes that he wrote to people or people sent him cards, and like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's so cool. Like I did. And I realized actually that it's because of the stories that I knew that I was able to relate more to a man that I really love. He's not about, he's gone and I now like, because I would just one more moment to ask him some questions and say some what they're saying. So yeah, he really to like do better. And for me, the reason why I wanted us to talk about this specifically, us as designers, I feel like we're not doing enough in the storytelling our stories as to why we do what we're doing or why we're doing what we're doing, as to what we're doing and why we're doing it, the first case. Yeah, and then also as Africans, I don't want anybody to give us our narrative. It's annoying. Like what I was saying, don't tell your story, don't formulate it for you. And it's really annoying. Like why should nobody tell me who I am and what I'm about and creating things for me that don't serve me, that shouldn't serve. And you'll now come and read what's and then take it. So we have to change that. I'm sorry, wait.
Two things to what you just said. I feel like the way in which you tell your story or like the value which you bring to it is very important in the target market, because for some reason you can tell a story to one person and it has no effect to somebody else. It will have such a different impact. Going back to more towards interior design is something I struggle with a lot, especially working with architects and engineers. I would say like, well, what is the intent? What is the purpose? What is the functions? What is the function of this space? And they're like, hey, it's a room. I'm like, what do we intend to do in this room? But I'm asking me, but like, I really struggle with connecting the dots sometimes. So I always find myself adapting what my story with design is going to be. And it's something I really don't particularly like, because when I look at what I intended to start with at the beginning of what I end up with, it's like the story has been lost. So I find it just really, fracking away to be able to stick to your gardens and really like persistently consistent with that intentionality throughout the space and not just in small pockets is something I'm really striving to do, especially in actually for all my residential or like commercial, being able to tell the brand story at their purpose and their intent and who they're serving and why they're serving them. It's like, I think what a lot of people don't appreciate, especially people who have like the educational background in design, is that there's always intent behind as opposed to just saying, oh, this looks nice. There's a reason why you picked this color wall. There's a reason why we put this curved chair as opposed to a straight chair. There's a reason behind it to serve the function and to satisfy the needs of people who are going to use it and adapt to that space as well. So that's why I really kind of like love this state, because my brand dog was actually let us tell your story. And that's something I always struggle with, because so literally it's the series like really let us tell your story, and it's like the client can buy into it, but then when it comes to execute, that's where you always just it's just always such a struggle. And I'm like, no, but this is what you said you wanted. Let's not settle. This is what you said you wanted. We're gonna figure out a creative way to achieve this thing. Not that every single roadblock of like happening is okay, it's not fun people. I'm like, no, but when you finish the house in like a couple of months when you're inside, you're going to see that there's actually a problem. You know, because that's because I had the clients who we had a plan. They went through that, said, no, we can't do everything. Okay, fine. I'm like, no, let's try it. Let's think of creative ways in which we can still get to this cycle. No, Mobula, it's okay. They pull me back a year later. Okay, no, we don't like it. There's no worry. Let's start that way. It's not functional. It's nice, but it's not functional. We don't use the space. It doesn't work for the way our family was. So like, I know. It's a terrible so that I am. So being able to like cross that boundary and like really helping people appreciate, because I know if not a video on your studies, like they don't really see the value. So being able to see that value add, I think is really the biggest thing to do. And it's hard to do with the surface as opposed to like when I say your product.
for our services, like they really have to have
Your long-term data is I was really yours to do.
I think that's really interesting that the idea of, I think like when people think about storytelling, a lot of time your mind really goes something like, or how we are presenting ourselves. So like Osaru was saying, no, I'm not sharing my work. Especially now in time of social media, we have a digital way to reach so many people. We keep thinking about brand building. Everybody says, oh, build your personal brand. Not everybody wants to be online. Not everybody else said that wants to, build, on LinkedIn, writing all these woo stories, all design. But I think like when it comes to like storytelling and design, like beyond even the outward story, there is the inward story that is coming to you, right? So I remember there was a time there was this lady that had ordered something. She had ordered some stuff from us. She had ordered matching clothes for her mom and her sisters, something like that. And for some reason, I think whatever she got was wrong order. She didn't get it, or she didn't have it yet, or she wasn't going to get it on time, whatever the case was. And so a customer service person had just been saying like, oh, hey, sorry, we're not waiting to get it to you, blah 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 blah. And she wrote back and she's like, oh, I ordered matching outfits for me and my sisters, but it was our wedding. We have some day of the series of events we have where we plan to wear this matching outfit. And our customer person is like, oh, we're really sorry, we can offer you a discount. It was just one of these kind of like, okay, here's my automated answer. Oh, I can offer you a discount on your next order, or we'll try this, And I sometimes I go in to just read like read exchanges or whatever, and I come out from the sites and I say to her, I'm like, okay, so now let's walk it back. Try and imagine what's happening. This person has gone. She's not even in Nigeria, right? So she's wherever her destination is. Let's say she's in Spain. She has planned for a wedding meticulously because brides are crazy, right? She has thought about every outfit she wants to wear. She's thought about every photo they're going to take. She's planned this day that is whatever, maybe welcome barbecue, Sunday brunch, whatever it is, right? And because, oh my God, me and my mom and my sister are going to wear this matching outfit. She's ordered her outfit on time, done everything she's supposed to do. She is now supposed to receive it. We have made a massive error, right? So, whatever along the chain that has happened, whether it's that the production did do it or the fabric did come, whatever it is, something really bad has happened. Now imagine how catastrophic this is for this person that is somewhere extremely stressed probably and hasn't received now is hearing this news and guessing it's just some text say, oh well, sorry, blah blah blah. I'm like, so what solutions have you thought about for this person? First of all, do we have somebody traveling? Can we remake something, even if it's, hey, here at Fabrics we have available, let me send you pictures, we're going to make it for you tonight, we'll have it sent to you, you'll get it by whatever day, whatever the case is. How have you applied empathy, thinking, story around that time? And like and you don't think about it in that way, but in that way you've rewritten the story, right, of the customer's experience, rather than just say this thing wasn't ready. She's able to see it from a different perspective now because she's now thinking about it from that person's story. And I think like when it comes to design especially, it's so important to start from the emotion of the customer and like their own emotional journey. What is going to be for me if I'm like, oh, I need someone to design my room, right, or my bedroom or whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, what is it that I feel when I go to my room? Is my room my place of sanctuary? Is my room like, support like, oh, I can only work in my room, so do I need to have like a really nice work corner or whatever it is? Like, what emotion does end user feel? And what action then do you apply as a designer that matches the emotion of the end user? So when you say things like, when people are thinking about their, functionality, at the end of the day, everything is something you're using. The service, an object, if it's clothes, if it's a phone, whatever it is, I guess it's functionality at the end of the day, no matter what the design is or how beautiful it is or however I connect to whatever that design is. But then when you start with the emotion of the user, when you're thinking about stories of the user, that it helps you even be able to like design better, right? So it makes your job easier.
So at the end of the day, people just want to it. It just wants to know that you thought of me when I was doing this. You thought I said this. Oh, this I'm not sure you said this, or I implemented this because of this. I'm like, oh, that's true. Okay, yeah.
Exactly, and it makes like the person be able to connect emotionally to this thing, because it's different between just seeing an object or just, enjoying an object and then having that emotional connection to it. So I remember I was cleaning my room out the other day, just like decluttering my closet or whatever, and I saw this pair of jeans, and I was like, oh my god, I haven't seen or thought about these jeans in whatever how long. I've not worn this definitely in like 5 years, right? And and I was like, okay, well, it should go into the pile, things I'm getting rid of. But then I remember, like, I bought it from this brand in New York, and the name of the brand is escaping me right now. But around the time when like Instagram and all these things were first coming up, there was this brand that started, and their whole thing was radical transparency. So they would literally tell you, this is where we made our t-shirts, or this is where we made our pair of jeans. This is the person who made your the outfit that you have. This is how much it cost us. Like, they were transparent about everything, and I was so fascinated with the brand at the time. But this is just, I found out how much it cost. They will tell you how much it costs and how much they're selling it for, why they marked it up that much or whatever it is, right? And I remember even back then, before I'd even bought anything, I just used to read the stories because it was so engaging and interesting, and it was, they were using social media in a different way at the time when people weren't really doing any of these things, and sustainability was not like a big buzzword at all. And I remember when I finally went, maybe when I went to America or something, and I was able to finally order because they were only in America. And I bought those jeans. And so when I saw it, I was buttering, and I was like, oh, what was that? So that jeans was so special, and I know baby, and like that brand that I really loved, and I put it back in my closet, even though I'm not going to wear it. But it's like I have formed such an emotional connection with something that otherwise is just an object. I have Zara jeans I was throwing in a pile. I had, all these other outfits I was throwing in a pile. But I was like, oh my god, this thing is so special. They really sold me on how special it is and what it means. That I was, I'm still, how many years later, I'm still having, something in my hand. I'm like, I can't, if I just put this thing in a pile, somebody just gets, whatever, wear it and not appreciate it in the same way that I appreciate it. And has anybody ever had that experience before? Like, can you guys share with us? Please, I don't want to be the only one talking. Like, but you said that. Can you tell me what it is? Like, you thought that
It sounds so different. I love how I would say we're not really clothing, brother.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be clothing. It's just something that makes you
icon and all this because of the stories and how I acquired them. I just held on to them.
Yeah, sometimes it's even just like somebody gave, like, a friend, this person I gifted this to me or whatever it is, like. And so when you say like, oh, you're cleaning out your dad's closet and all this, like, all those things are parts of stories. Like, archiving is storytelling, and it doesn't matter whether you're archiving publicly or privately. It could be family heirlooms, it could be even just within your company, you're keeping an archive or care all things with design, because like if a new person joins, or 10 years down the line you're handing it over to someone or whatever it is, that person has the story of this company. They have the story of CC. They understand what you were building here. I can be like, oh, I remember the design house I went to. It was only 7 design house. So look at now, design house in the hotel. It's a massive build. It's a massive event in the hotel. We're only 10 of us in the room, but like, all those things are stories that get passed down and how things are built. And I think, like, as Africans, yes, please tell me. No, so I was going to say, like, even as Africans, that's why it's important when you say, like, how are we recording stories? How are we reshaping narratives? Like, I'm telling you now, like, oh, I moved here in 2010, and I can remember the beginning, the beginning of a lot of these brands that are staple today, but there's people who maybe don't know those stories, or it wasn't archived, or it's not recorded anywhere, or you know what I mean? And I'm like, and that's how things get lost, and people start to resell stories that don't exist, right? Or people start to claim things that don't really belong to them. So again, it's just like, how are you taking responsibility for archiving what it is that you're working on, what it is that you're seeing, what it is that you're experiencing now, so that, it always be 100 years down the line, I will be like, people, Zini bronzes, they were not made by Benin people, they could be, what I mean? Like, that's what they say. That's what they say now that we went the world. This happened. Yeah, exactly. Now they said it couldn't have been made in Africa, right? And that's why they seized half of them in space, so that it couldn't have been you guys that made it. But who knows who made it? No records, nobody has any records or any whatever of it. Yeah. Sorry, can you share it?
Things already happening in the tech industry already. So let's say Okay, let me use an example. I dare use this products. I only had one of it. That's my iPad. But I love the brand itself. But I feel like if I'm not really fan of one like that, I'm not really a fan of the product itself. Now, why is it? Because I like the visionary, which is Steve Jobs. Okay, he was a very new storyteller. Like, it could be very cute, like the products, the emotions that came with it, all of that.